Time is of the essence. We're reaching 1.5 degrees of warming above pre-industrial levels. And so we're entering dangerous climate conditions with extreme climate events and severe climate impacts. The IPCC report describes climate resilient development as a framework for action. And this figure synthesizes findings from across the IPCC report. So the current trajectory that we're on, the red trajectory, is really towards the dismal future and the red Earth that we see on the right-hand side. And the green Earth signifies a better, more sustainable future, and that we need to get onto green trajectories quickly in order to move towards a sustainable future. Climate resilient development really describes the urgency that we need to act and the way that we need to act. So mitigation and adaptation come together to shift development trajectories. Examples of this can be integrated development planning across sectors that put vulnerable groups at the center. Other examples are blue-green infrastructure in cities combined with social housing policies that then are able to support both mitigation, adaptation, sustainable development and human well-being. So climate resilient development really inserts some key qualities into decision-making. And these key qualities include ecosystem stewardship, social justice and equity, inclusion, and knowledge diversity. Achieving a better shared future depends on how we navigate these turbulent times. And in order to do that, it's urgent to reconfigure both development processes and practices in order to enable more climate resilient development.
So what happens in the worst case scenario with climate resilient development, the red scenario if you like? Well, global warming will have increased substantially beyond 1.5 degrees. That will have exceeded the limits at which many carbon-rich ecosystems can survive. And so we start to see forests dying, permafrost thawing, peatlands drying out. And all that means more greenhouse gases are being pumped into the atmosphere. The more the climate warms, the more it causes the release of greenhouse gases, and therefore the harder and harder it gets to actually stop that vicious cycle. We will be losing species that can't adapt to those rising levels of temperature, and those impacts on nature have an impact on people as well. Nature-based solutions to reduce flooding or cool cities will become less and less successful. We'll also see impacts on food supplies as well, as we start to lose pollinators of different crops and soil health deteriorates. It's quite a grim scenario for nature conservation.
Vår gruppe ville se på hvordan man kan engasjere seg i klimaspørsmål. Prøve å kartlegge årsakssammenhenger som fører til global oppvarming, og hva slags konsekvenser det har for jorda og oss. Og så hadde vi noen sånne små øvelser der man kunne skrive ned personlige endringer man kan gjøre i sitt liv for å redusere sitt klimaavtrykk. Og noe av det som kom opp her var jo for eksempel det å stemme. Til syvende og sist så er det jo individer som er en del av et samfunn da. For å få systemendring så må man jo også få folk med på det. Altså hvis man skal ha et demokrati som fungerer.
This was just like a visual representation of IPCC's climate resilient pathways. So people were taking a carbon footprint quiz on the other stand right next to us, and then we were pasting it on all these different pathways representing how sustainable development is looking. The green one is how it should be, the orange one is how it is looking for now, and the red one is what we need to avoid. Well, we're on the orange pathway, which means we need to act on all those pledges we made. And because we don't have 3 Earths, we only have one.
I want to think a little bit about what happens under a green best case scenario with climate resilient development. We're going to be successful in limiting global warming to about 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial averages. And that has a great benefit in that it protects the terrestrial carbon stores in forests, permafrost and peat bogs. If we've done all that we can to maintain our ecosystems in a healthy state and we've got on top of global warming, then we can also have effective nature-based solutions to help people to survive and to thrive. We can reduce flood risk through healthy natural river systems that store water in places where it's not going to flood people's homes, or provides a buffer against increasing sea surges. A green scenario is one in which ecosystems are protected and can help to protect people.
Moving towards a better future for people and the planet depends firstly on recognizing and charting development pathways that prioritize our interdependence. We are dependent upon each other for our collective human well-being, literally from the local to global level. And people are dependent on non-human species and a health, safe and productive planet. Secondly, moving away from dismal pathways, the red earth, to a better future, the green earth, depends not only on prioritizing the intrinsic value of nature, it also depends on making collective choices and actions that respect and give voice and agency to the least privileged amongst us, including those who are poor, vulnerable, marginalized, and oppressed in both the global north and global south. No one group of people or nation can thrive in isolation. We all depend on just, equitable, and empowering development decisions, processes, and actions that harness the wisdom and knowledges of Indigenous people, local communities, technical and professional experts, and research in the natural and social sciences and humanities. Development choices and actions involve financial, economic, socio-cultural, technical, and political dimensions, but fundamentally they are ethical choices that reflect our shared values and shape our individual and collective behavior. The choices we make in the coming decade will determine whether or not we head on pathways to a dismal future or towards a better future for humankind and the planet.